Welcome to the Skift India Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Peden, and today we'll be diving into the world of travel fintech as we talk to Abhilasha Negi and Akash Dahiya, the two co-founders of Sankash. Abhilasha and Akash, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Peden.
Thanks, Pede. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. Akash, a question to you since you're also the CEO of the company. Could you give us a bit more information on what Sankash offers? And then, of course, you've spoken about Sankash's plans to service 1 million customers by 2025. So, how ambitious is this number?
Pede, frankly speaking, this is an underestimation of the numbers, the way, especially the Indian travel market is growing. India has roughly about 100 million passport holders, out of which 50% are students and laborers. Technically, we only contribute 6% of the population who can go out. Uh, the last year there are only 30 million people travel outside India, so we are still at a very nascent stage as far as traveling is concerned. Our passport is now getting stronger, people are getting confident. Most of the Indians today are first time travelers. They realize that there is much more to look outside the Indian market. So yes, this
Mhm.
market is going to bombard very differently. 1 million is absolutely what we believe is an underestimation of that. The next innovation that will come and that will drive this growth has to be from the financial services. We have seen what financial services could do to a player like an iPhone in Indian market. The same thing will get replicated for the travel as a market, because the ticket ranges, the ticket sizes are almost the same. So given those kind of balances, we see that 1 million is absolutely achievable. In fact, it's an underestimation.
And Akash, could you also talk a bit about what Sankash is offering?
So we are a travel fintech, Pede. So primarily the anchor product or the key product that we do is consumer financing for travel at the point of sale. So technically today, let's say you go to India to buy any consumer durable. Now to buy a refrigerator or to a washing machine, you see 10 ways to pay. Unfortunately for the travel, you don't see them. It looks like a dead place today. You walk into any of the travel stores in the country. Now that's what Sandcash tends to change. The fintech as per se from the penetration standpoint is the as what we call is a next social media. People spend more times in searching for the deals and offer before they actually buy the product. Now this is the deals and offer platform that Sandcash brings, which can be in turn offered to the travelers by travel agents. So we do the consumer financing for travel, which is purchased while buying the primary product, that is travel, at any of these stores. So that remains our anchor product.
Mhm. Abhilasha, a question that is directed to you. The market that you're operating in is very fragmented. So what are some of the challenges that you face, and how do you break into this market?
Well, that's absolutely right, Pede. Why we chose basically travel is a very fragmented market, and as per the studies and the research that we conducted before we entered this market, we could see foresee this as a challenge already. So, one very important aspect of entering this market is. Trust is extremely important in this market. So we are a B2B organization, and travel agents are associated with us, through whom we actually make this travel now pay later service available to the customers. And we saw that to build in trust with them, it's extremely important that we be a complementing service to them instead of sounding like a competitive service to them. So that was the first thing. Second, what really helped us in a way, though it was otherwise not a good thing for the travel industry, but was the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, a lot of our issues pertaining to educating the travel agents about the importance of travel now pay later and travel insurance services also per se, uh, automatically came to the fore, because everybody started understanding the concept of buy now pay later, and being at home and still being able to get financial services available at a few clicks. That is something that was in a way good for us during the pandemic, and that's also when we looked at pivoting, and we helped the travel agents. We stayed with them at that point of time by offering other services to them, like marketing toolkits free of cost, and also a visa photograph module that we offered to them free of cost. These were additional services that we were offering to maintain the stickiness. But then with the this market being very fragmented, I think what's most important is that going to them through as a pull product and not as a push product is what brought these travel agents to us. So once the word started to go out, we are also associated with the travel boutique online. So once the word started to go out, and through them we were able to approach a couple of travel agents initially. Then we saw that they could understand that how this is going to help their business build further. So
Abhilasha, just one thing. I'm sorry to cut you short, but I'm just
sure.
one thing. What is this pull and push that you talk about? I mean, like, how do you differentiate that?
So, Peden, usually, an EMI product in the market is looked at and looked upon in the rest of the industries as a push product, in the sense that the customer actually, the agent or the merchant actually has to push for the customer to take a product on an interest bearing sort of an EMI. But with travel, like with a lot of other industries like phones and all of that, this has become a pull product, because the customers themselves come and they ask for a possibility of an alternative payment option or an alternative payment plan which is available, because of the cost being very high. And also at the same time, people, especially when they want to visit abroad, and most of Indians are first time travelers, they want to have some cash in hand with them when they travel abroad. They don't want to spend the entire money just at the time of booking. So this product really helped them, so they started asking for these kind of products from the travel agent, which is why they started coming back to us and asking, started getting registered with us.
Um, well, both of you, both Akash and Abhilasha, Sankash has formed a lot of strategic partnerships recently, whether it is with Musafir.com or with Cordelia Cruises, EaseMyTrip. You have your, travel now, pay later, even sail now, pay later options where you're offering flexible payment options to Indian travelers. Now, do you see an uptick in more travelers wanting to travel by availing these flexible payment options? How big is this market right now? Because, we've been all talking about the fact that how Indians are, like Skift did a mega trend about how India is the new China, where everybody is looking at the Indian outbound travel. And it's not just outbound, it's domestic as well. I mean, domestic has helped a lot of travelers to explore more, so that is what is also pushing outbound as well. So do you see more and more people wanting to avail these flexible payment options?
Pade, I'll answer that. Technically, if you will see, let's say today you go and visit Amazon India website, right? You pick up any product, you will see that the EMI price supersedes the MRP. Now you
Correct.
go and visit a Thomas Cook, or even for that matter a Make My Trip site, the full price does mention, right? So India as a concept has moved to buying an affordable product, right? Be it a luxury product, or anything which is a necessity product. But that phenomena has not happened in travel. So we as a category creator, there could be two things. One, we put a marketing muscle and create a pull in the market where customer comes and asks for it, which will require a long haul marketing exercise. The best way to cut that short is to go and sit behind these travel merchants, and that's the reason why we go and sign up these merchants and offer the services to them. Now, be it a marry now pay later to a sale now pay later, are all the spin-off on how they use it and eventually bring it up. Now, the way we are seeing it as a category creation, that when we started off, we were negligible. They don't know how to sell an affordable packages, be it domestic or international. Today, our penetration is roughly about 10% of the GMV contribution that they do, even at a monthly level. So let's say at a Thomas Cook, SOTC, these are the large travel holidays provider, right? We are already started seeing 10% people taking a flexible payment option. Now, will it go 25%? Yes, absolutely, and that's near future. Will it breach 25% mark? We don't know. We will find that out, but that's more depend the amount of marketing muscle that these players will put in. So yes, the uptake is going up significantly, very high, be it domestic or be it the international. And it's just a matter of time that the usage and the use case would be much more for what we are seeing today.
To add to
Yeah,
that, Pede, travel as a category per se, if you will see, is really expanding in a big way. You know, previously travel only meant leisure travel and maybe adventure travel, but now we see sports travel happening, we see destination weddings happening, pilgrimage travel happening. All of these
correct.
are expanding the industry, travel industry per se, in a big way. So automatically, being an attachment product for travel, we are automatically seeing that a lot of customers are coming to us with different kind of requirements. When we had started out in 2018, we were only expecting the new age people to come and young generation to come and take this kind of a product. But to our surprise, today, families with children, people who want to sponsor their elderly parents for pilgrimage, all of those are coming to us in a big way, and that consists of our 60% of the portfolio today. So
Interesting.
it's expanding in a great way.
Interesting, because I read about a report that had said, I think around last year, that in India about 40% of travelers halt their vacation plans due to lack of funds. And then, of course, among the group tested, they had also said that 70% wanted better travel options. Okay. Now, it's great that, so many people are traveling. And of course, facilities such as Travel Now, Pay Later offerings are also helping them travel more. But Akash and Abhilasha, what do you do about defaulters? How do you handle those who do not pay back?
But that's in fact that's one of the learnings that even the industry saw it, right. See, one of the India's largest private sector bank, which is the giving out the unsecured personal loan to the consumer. There's a recent report which suggested that one out of every three customer using the unsecured money for travel as a purpose. Now, if that's such a large category, India and technically globally, unsecured loans versus a purpose-based loans showcase and exhibit a different credit behavior on a consumer's mind. Travel is one of the commodity which has a high repeat purchase. Now, given that at least twice in a year is what a people tend to travel in, right? Now, every time they are going back to the same travel agent. If a customer is defaulted, they won't face a travel agent they are going back to. Leave aside the OTAs, and we are not talking about it because that's not where the majority of the market is. So today, being a purpose based, where the purpose has been verified against the invoice, the money going to the dealers, we see that we our performance is much more better than a credit card and the personal loan. The default rates currently on the Sankash portfolio is roughly about 1.55% on the annualized rates, which is much more lesser, and that's the added advantage that we bring on the table even for the NBFCs and the banking institutions.
Yeah, but Akash, how do you deal with those defaulters? I mean, like, even if it is 1.55%, there is a certain percentage that does that. But is there any way in which you can get back the money from them?
Lending will always see defaults, Padre. It's that how you control and what are those numbers that are at which the books will look attractive. Defaults could be an intentional or could be a syndicated fraud as well. Intentional defaults are something that could be because the revenues were impacted. Let's say COVID happened or there's a loss of job. Now you can't do much about it, but eventually you get the money out of these customers. But when it comes down to the syndicated fraud, there is enough checks and balances that we do. For example, the way we go about doing it is every time we take a support of our travel merchant network to keep our default rates at the minimum. The way we do it is basically take their help in terms of reaching out to those customers. We exactly utilize their resources. Whenever the default rates at a particular point of sale started breaching, let's say 2% level, we stop and blacklist a particular point of sale. We believe that that's where the merchandise or even the customers are coming. I have an habitual default habit. So those are the ways. But yes, defaults will exist. The idea is to keep it under 2% and behave like a secured portfolio. 2% default rates is what help us to also carve out the interest rate in a better product, and that's how we cover up those default rates in the product proposition as well.
Interesting. Um, Sankash also works in the travel insurance market, and with COVID, we've seen how important travel insurance has become. And of course, in India, many of the countries before securing a visa, travel insurance is an important part of the visa process. So, do you see that? And nowadays, you also see OTAs offering travel insurance for a minimal amount, say about 120 rupees or so. Even IRCTC has the travel insurance scheme. So, how important is insurance right now for the Indian travel industry?
It is very important. As you rightly mentioned, this industry has taken off after COVID. Most of the countries made it mandatory. Most of the people have also started asking for it, right? If the country is a visa fee, something like a Thailand or Maldives, because people realize if I'll get sick, it can take away their entire year's income. So that's how it started become a pull as well. And obviously because of the claim rates, which are much more lesser in insurance, it becomes lucrative from a commission standpoint to all the travel agents as well. Now, what we do, we being a go-to travel fintech today, that's where our decision of not only sticking onto the lending, we started offering the travel insurance on our platform. What it does is two things. One, it increases the revenue of the travel agents. We become a default travel fintech under three pillars, which is lendings, insurance, and payments, and we become a go-to person. The third important element is that we start cross leveraging the product. For example, if a certain travel agent is buying let's say an X quantum of travel insurance from Sankash, we don't charge them MDR or a payment gateway fees for the consumer financing that we do for them. So that becomes literally no cost for them, and for the customer, we don't charge even the interest for, let's say, certain terms. That becomes that cross leverage with the insurance bundled as a product becomes much more easier to attain. So all these three things put together has made insurance a critical part of our ecosystem.
But Akash, do you see a lot of people, even for domestic travel, do you see them opting for domestic? Because you never know. Sometimes like what happened with Go First, right? And now Indigo has already been having a problems with the Pratt and Whitney engines. So they are saying that most of a significant portion of their flights may not fly for some time. So, do you see for domestic travel as well, people opting for these things because to future proof themselves?
Yeah, so Pene, you know, both travel now pay later and travel insurance have primarily lacked in the travel industry, primarily because of an education issue. Being the first time sort of leaders in this industry, we realized this soon, that the primary problem of education needs to be solved first, and then we need to start designing good products, selling the right kind of products, and leveraging the market. So we saw the same thing with travel insurance as well. When we started to launch it, only people used to only buy it for international travel because it was mandatory. But then once we started educating customers who were applying to us about it, we have seen that there's been a rising trend, and people with domestic travel along not just buy travel insurance, but they're also willing to buy something like an attachment product which covers the entire amount of travel that they are taking on a loan. So that is also a trend that we've been seeing.
By the way, also just to add up to it, people, India, the even the domestic market has taken off, which means, as you rightly pointed out, the aviation sector itself has to cope up with it. The infrastructure is not in place at most of the airports, barring the metro towns. Now, what the people have started facing are the delayed flights, loss of baggages. You lose
Mhm.
one baggage, it could cost you 50,000 bucks, and insurance will cost you 100 bucks. People started realizing that very soon, right? Because they have someone in the family or someone. But unfortunately, insurance works that way only. If you will see that someone is suffering just by not picking that up as an opt-in product, they'll end up paying a huge sum of money, right? Now, people started seeing that very frequently with the absence of a lot of airline carriers in the country, and the rise of the demand and unable to service. So this automatically becomes a pull. Then there are the poor states versus a rich state, as what when we were talking to a lot of people here, right? For example, Himachal and Goa, which technically is already overloaded with the tourist coming in their respective states. When
Mhm.
so let's say someone coming from Delhi and falls sick in Himachal, right? The load comes onto the state-run government, the hospitals and the other healthcare institutions, because they don't have the penetration of the private institution. We started realizing, we are talking to some of the very senior people in the tourism boards, where the domestic tourism boards, where state tourism, where they're saying we will make it mandatory to for people to carry certain level of a health insurance when they're entering the state. Now they are figuring out how to monitor it, but that's where it will start making sense, because they will, even the states will start making it mandatory, like for a visa requirements, that every time a ticket is sold and a flight is landing, they would need to have, let's say, basic health infrastructure. So those kind of an insurance penetrations is happening right now as far as domestic is concerned.
Interesting. Um, I think Sankash has also, it's announced its foray into the forex space as well. So, can you talk about this relationship between travel and forex? I mean, like, what made you decide to, get into the forex space?
But the idea for this comes in when one of the tourism boards approached us and they said that, hey, we want to become the go-to GCC country as a favorite tourist destination in from India now, and drive the consumption of Indian tourists coming into the country. So they say that, hey, every time you lend, let's say 2 lakh rupees, 200,000 rupees to the customer, can you lend them 50,000 additional, which can only be spent within my country? Now, one, what will drive is because it will be free money and I will bear the interest cost of that money. Right? You just give him 50,000 additional. Now it becomes a closed loop ecosystem where there you go, customer goes in there, let's say in that country, land in that country, and that 50,000 is available for them to only spend within that country. Now that's a free cash coming to them, right? So that's when the idea started coming up that with the Indians going out, they are taking the packages here, but now they are adventuring into the food, into the shopping. So the amount of forex that they are buying is increasing. Now, it cannot be now what has happened, the state of affairs in India is that whenever travel agent books a holiday for a customer, they technically ask them to go and buy the forex from their respective banks. They realize that they are missing out, one, on servicing the customer. They are giving their customer in platter to a financial institutions. Third, they're losing out an opportunity on making money on every transaction that they do. That's when most of these travel agents was also asking us, hey, you being a fintech player, why can't I buy it from your platform? Because in my lifetime a bank will never come and offer me a product. So that's when we said, okay, let's experiment by putting up and solve on the both side of the supply and demand and put it across. And that's where we saw that's an opportunity coming up, though at a very nascent stage. But now we are bundling it like a travel insurance, and next year we will see a big jump on the forex side of it, as one of the pillars for growth.
And do you think that this recent, the TCS thing that has happened, that will also see, more Indians opting for forex rather than
Uh,
using the credit card?
Absolutely, they would, Paddy. And in fact, the cost of ownership, or let's say the cost of buying a holidays, has gone up by 5 and 20%, right? So they are already they're seeing that the budgets needs to be increased even while buying the primary product. Similarly, the expenses of the credit card is getting that extra surcharge. So definitely, that's one of the reasons why we are seeing that the forex bought at the point of sale is taking off, and we will continue to see the massive growth around it.
Excellent. Thank you, Abhilasha and Akash, for joining us today and shedding light on how Indians are now opting for more flexibility and financial support while traveling.
Thank you so much for having us over.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll catch you in the new episode. We hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Thank you very much.
This has been the Skift India Travel Podcast. Thank you for listening.